Monique Deveroshin was holding it with shaking hands. 3 weeks had passed since Madame Shin's funeral. 3 weeks since they'd buried the woman who had tormented her for 18 years. 3 weeks since she'd thought their war was finally over. But the lawyer sitting across from her was smiling. The kind of smile that meant trouble. "Mrs. Shin, your mother-in-law left very specific instructions." Monique looked at Taejun. He looked as confused as she felt. "What kind of instructions?" The lawyer opened his briefcase. "She's left her entire estate to your children." Silence. $800 million. More silence. "Each." Monique's mouth fell open. "Each." "Yes, ma'am. But..." And there it was. The word that would change everything. But what? The lawyer pulled out a thicker envelope. "There are conditions." Monique felt the room spinning. What kind of conditions? "The children must be raised according to traditional Korean customs. They must attend specific schools in Korea. They must live in the family compound until age 25. And..." He paused. "They must marry Korean spouses approved by the family board." The silence in that room was deafening. Taejun stared at the papers. "She can't do this. She's dead." "Actually, sir, she can." And she did. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. "If these conditions aren't met, the entire inheritance goes to your cousins." Monique laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because the alternative was screaming. "So let me understand this. She spent 18 years trying to get rid of me. And now, from the grave, she's still trying to control my children. Ma'am, I just execute the will. I don't write them." Taejun's face was pale. "How long do we have to decide?" 30 days. Monique stood up. "I need air." "Mrs. Shin." "I need air." She walked out. Left Taejun sitting there. Left the lawyer with his papers and his conditions and his 800 million reasons why she should surrender. But Monique Deveroshin wasn't surrendering. Not to anyone. Not even a dead woman. She was sitting in their car when her phone rang. "Mama." "Of course." "Baby girl? You sound like you've been crying." "I haven't been crying." "Don't lie to me." "What happened?" Monique told her everything. The will. The money. The conditions. All of it. When she finished, there was silence. Then, 800 million each. "Mama, that's not the point." "I know what the point is, baby. I'm just..." "Lord have mercy. That's a lot of zeros." "She's trying to buy my children." "No. She's trying to steal them." Monique wiped her eyes. "What do I do, Mama? What does your heart say?" "My heart says no amount of money is worth my baby's souls." "Then you already know what to do." "But what if I'm being selfish? What if this money could give them opportunities one never could?" "Baby girl, let me ask you something. If the devil offered you $1 billion in exchange for your children's identity, would you take it?" Monique was quiet. "Because that's what this is. That woman is trying to erase everything you gave those babies. Your culture. Your faith. Your love." "I know." "Then act like you know." The line went quiet. "Mama? I'm booking a flight. First class. Tonight." "You don't have to." "Yes, I do. Because this is war, baby girl. And Devereux women don't fight wars alone." The next morning, Taejun's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Cousins. Uncles. Board members. Everyone's suddenly very concerned about the twins' future. "You have to think about their education," said Cousin Minjun. "This is their birthright," said Uncle Hyunsoo. "Think about the opportunities," said Aunt Jiyoung. They arrived at the house in waves. Bringing lawyers. Bringing documents. Bringing pressure. Monique watched from the kitchen window as car after car pulled up. All of them suddenly interested in children they'd ignored for a year. "They smell money," she told Taejun. "They're family," he said quietly. "No. Family doesn't come with conditions." The doorbell rang. Again. Taejun answered. Cousin Minjun walked in like he owned the place. "Taejun, we need to talk." Behind him came 2 more cousins. And a lawyer. "About what?" "About those babies' future." Minjun looked around. "Where's Monique?" "Right here." She walked into the living room, carrying baby Etienne on her hip, baby Claudette in her arms. Minjun smiled. The fake kind. Monique, how are you holding up? This must be so overwhelming. I'm fine. Good, good. Listen, we've been thinking. About the will. About the children. What about them? Well, you need help. Raising them properly. According to our customs. She stared at him. I've been raising them just fine for a year. Of course. Of course. But now, with so much money involved, there are certain expectations. The lawyer stepped forward. Mrs. Shin, we've prepared some documents to help facilitate the transition. What transition? To traditional Korean upbringing. There are cultural consultants, nannies, tutors. My children already have everything they need. Do they? Minjun's smile got wider. Do they speak Korean? They're 1 year old. Exactly. Which is why we need to start now. Baby Etienne started fussing. Like he could sense the tension. I think you should all leave. Monique, Taejun started. No. I think you should all leave. Minjun's smile disappeared. The children's inheritance depends on proper guidance. Get out. You're being unreasonable. Get out. Baby Claudette started crying. Then Etienne. The lawyer gathered his papers. Mrs. Shin, you have 28 days to comply with the will's conditions. We're just trying to help. I don't want your help. They filed out, one by one, whispering among themselves. Taejun closed the door behind them, turned to face his wife. Monique, don't. They have a point about the cultural. I said don't. She walked upstairs, carrying both babies, leaving Taejun standing in their living room, wondering if $800 million was worth a war with his wife. Claudette Devereaux stepped off that plane like she was leading an army, but ready for battle. Monique picked her up at the airport. How was the flight, Mama? Baby girl, I had champagne and warm nuts. I could get used to this. They drove home in comfortable silence, until Claudette spoke. So, tell me about these people who think they can buy your children. Monique told her everything. About the visits, the lawyers, the cultural consultants, the pressure on Taejun. When they pulled into the driveway, Claudette looked at the house. This is where you've been fighting for 18 years? Yes, ma'am. Good. Because I'm about to help you finish it. They walked inside. Taejun was in the living room, holding the twins, looking exhausted. Mrs. Devereaux. Taejun. Claudette studied his face. You look like a man with too much on his mind. Yes, ma'am. Want to tell me about it? He glanced at Monique. Your daughter doesn't want to hear what I have to say. Try me, Claudette said. She sat down, folded her hands, waited. The money, it could change everything for them. The best schools. The best opportunities. The best. The best what, son? Taejun was quiet. Let me ask you something. What good is the best of everything if they don't know who they are? They'll know. They'll be Korean. Half Korean. They're also American. Louisiana American. Gospel singing, crawfish eating, freedom-loving American. Claudette leaned forward. You trying to cut that half out of them? No. Of course not. Then what are you trying to do? Taejun looked down at the twins. I want them to have everything. Baby, they already do. They've got you. They've got her. They've got love. They've got family. What else do children need? Security. You mean money. I mean, options. Claudette was quiet for a long moment. Taejun, can I tell you about my daddy? Ma'am? My daddy worked 3 jobs to feed his family. Died when he was 47. Never had a penny to his name. I'm sorry. Don't be. Because you know what he did have. Taejun shook his head. He had his dignity. He had his values. And he passed those to his children. She looked at the twins. Money comes and goes, son. But who you are, that's forever. The room was quiet. Baby Etienne reached for Claudette. She took him. Started humming. An old gospel song. The baby immediately calmed down. See that? She said to Taejun. Yes, ma'am. He knows his grandmother's voice. Because blood don't lie. Love don't lie. And family don't lie. She stood up. Now, I'm fixing dinner. Louisiana style. And we're going to eat as a family. All of us. Together. Yes, ma'am. And while we eat, we're going to remember what's really important. That night, after dinner, after the babies were asleep, Taejun found Monique on their bedroom balcony. Your mother is formidable. She gets that from her daddy. Taejun sat beside her. I've been thinking. About? About what she said. About dignity. About values. Monique was quiet. I think I've been scared. Of what? Of not being enough. Of not giving them what they deserve. What they deserve is parents who love them. But the money will always come with strings, Taejun. Always. He was quiet. What if we compromise? What do you mean? What if we take the money but modify the conditions? Monique stared at him. You think we can negotiate with a dead woman? I think we can negotiate with her lawyers. And what happens when they say no? Then we walk away. Monique studied his face. Are you sure you're ready to do that? Walk away from $800 million. I'm ready to do whatever keeps our family together. She took his hand. Okay, we'll try. But if they won't budge, we walk. Promise me. I promise. The lawyer's office was intimidating. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Mahogany everything. Men in expensive suits. And Monique Deveroshin walking in like she belonged there. Because she did. Mrs. Shin. Mr. Shin. Please sit. They sat. The lawyer spread papers across his desk. Have you considered our proposal? We have, Taejun said. And? We'd like to modify some conditions. The lawyer's eyebrows went up. I'm afraid that's not possible. The will is quite specific. Everything's negotiable, Monique said. Not this. These were your mother-in-law's final wishes. Her final wishes included destroying my marriage and stealing my children. I'm not interested in honoring that. The lawyer adjusted his tie. Mrs. Shin, this is $800 million. Per child. I can count. Do you understand what you're walking away from? Do you understand what you're asking me to give up? Silence. The lawyer tried again. Perhaps we could arrange for limited flexibility. In some areas. Such as language requirements. The children could learn English in addition to Korean. How generous. And perhaps occasional visits to America. Occasional. Supervised, of course. Monique stood up. We're done here. Mrs. Shin. I said we're done. Taejun stood too. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. You're making a mistake. No, Monique said. SG made the mistake. Thinking she could control us from the grave. They walked out. Together. Leaving $800 million on the table. And feeling lighter than they had in weeks. But the family wasn't done. 3 days later, moving trucks arrived. Without permission. Without invitation. Just arrived. What's happening? Monique asked the driver. Moving orders, ma'am. You're to relocate to the family compound. Says who? The will, ma'am. If you want to claim the inheritance, the children must reside at the ancestral home. Monique stared at him. We declined the inheritance. No, ma'am. You have 24 more days to comply. Until then, the conditions remain in effect. More trucks. More workers. All of them acting like this was normal. Like families got displaced by dead women's wishes every day. Taejun came outside. Saw the chaos. What's all this? A man in a suit approached. Mr. Shin? I'm Park Young-ho, estate executor. We're here to facilitate the transition. What transition? We haven't agreed to anything. Sir, the will requires the children to live at the compound during the decision period. For their protection. Protection from what? From decisions that might not be in their best interest. Monique's eyes narrowed. Are you threatening us? No, ma'am. Just following legal requirements. And if we refuse? Then you forfeit any claim to the inheritance. Immediately. Monique looked at Taejun. He looked back. both thinking the same thing. This was bigger than money. This was about control. Fine, Monique said. Monique. I said fine. We'll play their game. For now. She walked back into the house. Started packing. Again. But this time, she was packing for war. The Shin family compound was everything Monique expected. And worse. Traditional architecture. Formal gardens. And rules. So many rules. The children must be addressed by their Korean names only, said the cultural supervisor. Her name was Mrs. Kim. She was 60-something. And she looked at Monique like she was a virus. Their names are Etienne and Claudette. Their Korean names are Young-ho and Min-young. I named my children. I know what their names are. Those are American names. Inappropriate for heirs to the Shin fortune. Monique looked around the room. At the portraits of stern-faced ancestors. At the furniture that probably cost more than most people's houses. At the life she was supposed to want for her children. Where will we sleep? The children will stay in the nursery. With their assigned nannies. And me? You have the East Wing. Your husband has the West Wing. Monique stopped. Excuse me. Married couples don't share quarters in traditional households. Until the children reach school age. We're not living separately. I'm afraid that's not optional. Everything is optional. This is my family. Mrs. Kim's smile was ice cold. Not anymore. Here, tradition rules. That first night, Monique snuck into the nursery. Found her babies sleeping in cribs that cost more than cars. With nannies watching their every breath. Ma'am? You're not supposed to be here. I'm their mother. During designated hours only. Designated hours? Morning feeding is at 7. Evening feeding is at 6. Outside those times. Outside those times, what? The children need consistent caregiving. From qualified staff. Monique stared at this woman. This stranger. Who thought she could dictate when a mother could see her own children? Get out. Ma'am? I said get out. I can't leave the children unsupervised. They're not unsupervised. I'm here. You're not qualified. I'm their mother. Her voice echoed in the nursery. Both babies stirred. Started crying. Monique reached for Etienne. The nanny blocked her. Ma'am, please. You're upsetting them. I'm upsetting them? Routine is important. Consistency. Move. Something in Monique's voice made the nanny step back. She picked up her son. Then her daughter. Held them both. Sang softly. A Louisiana lullaby her mama used to sing. The babies calmed immediately. Recognized their mother's voice. Their mother's smell. Their mother's love. The nanny watched in silence. They know you, she said quietly. Of course they know me. I'm all they've ever known. The woman's expression softened slightly. The supervisors, they have rules. The supervisors aren't their mothers. I am. A pause. What if we could work together? Monique looked at her. Really looked. Saw a young woman. Maybe 25. Probably just following orders. What's your name? Sujin. Well, Sujin, here's how this is going to work. These are MY children. I will see them when I want. Feed them when I want. Love them when I want. Are we clear? Sujin nodded. Yes, ma'am. Good. Now, let's figure out how to survive this place. The next morning brought new horrors. Cultural consultants. Language instructors. Traditional music teachers. All for babies who couldn't even walk yet. It's never too early to begin proper education, said Mrs. Kim. She was watching as a language instructor played Korean alphabet songs. Baby Claudette was crying. Baby Etienne was fussing. Neither baby seemed interested in traditional education. They're too young for this, Monique said. Nonsense. Korean children begin cultural education immediately. My children aren't just Korean. Mrs. Kim's face hardened. In this house, they are. That afternoon, Claudette arrived. With 2 suitcases and attitude. Where are my grandbabies? In cultural instruction, Mrs. Kim said primly. Cultural what? Claudette followed the sound of crying babies. Found them in a room full of strangers, speaking rapid Korean, playing music they'd never heard, trying to force-feed them Korean foods. What is going on here? Ma'am, you can't be. I'm their grandmother. Get out of my way. Claudette pushed past the consultants, picked up Etienne. Hey, baby boy. Grandmama's here. She started humming gospel music. Immediately, Etienne calmed down. Claudette picked up Claudette. The baby stopped crying instantly. See, she said to the room. They know what love sounds like. Mrs. Kim appeared in the doorway. Ma'am, you're disrupting the cultural education. Good. Claudette turned to face her. You can take your cultural education and... Mama, Monique appeared behind Mrs. Kim. Let's go to my room. Room? Where's your husband's room? Different wing. Claudette stared. Different wing. It's traditional. It's stupid. She looked around at all the consultants, all the supervisors, all the people trying to remake her grandbabies. Y'all need to find something better to do. These children got all the culture they need. And what culture is that? Asked Mrs. Kim. Love culture. Family culture. The culture of people who know their names and sing their songs and hold them when they cry. She started walking out, carrying both babies. Where are you going? Mrs. Kim called. To teach these children what their mama's voice sounds like. 2 weeks into life at the compound, Taejun was falling apart. The family pressure was constant. Board meetings, cultural committees, financial projections, all focused on the twins' proper development. You have to think about their future, Uncle Hyun-soo kept saying. This money can secure generations of Shin prosperity. Your children could be leaders, influencers, powerful. And late at night, alone in his wing of the compound, Taejun started to wonder. What if they were right? What if he was being selfish? What if his love for Monique was preventing his children from their destiny? These thoughts consumed him, made him distant, made him doubt. And Monique saw it happening. You're changing, she told him one evening. They were in the garden, the only place they could talk privately. I'm not changing. I'm thinking. About what? About whether we're doing the right thing. Monique's heart sank. The right thing. Maybe some traditions aren't so bad. Maybe the money could. Stop. Monique. Just stop. She turned to face him. Do you remember what you told me? 18 years ago? When your family first tried to tear us apart. He was quiet. You said I was your choice. The only choice you'd ever made that was truly yours. I remember. Was that true? Or were you just trying to get me to stay? It was true. Then prove it. How? Choose us. Again. Right now. Choose us over them. Taejun looked back at the compound. At the life of privilege and power waiting for his children. At 800 million reasons to comply. Then he looked at his wife. The woman who had stood by him for 18 years. Who had given him the miracle children they'd prayed for. Who was asking him to choose love over money. Again. I choose you, he whispered. Are you sure? I choose us. Relief flooded her face. Then let's go home, he said. What about the money? What about it? We lived without it for 18 years. We can live without it for 18 more. And the family? We'll have to learn to love us as we are. Or not at all. But leaving wasn't that simple. Because the next morning brought papers. Legal documents. Requiring signatures. What are these? Monique asked the lawyer. Custody transfer agreements. The words hit her like a punch to the stomach. What? If you leave the compound, you forfeit all parental rights. The children will be raised by appointed guardians. Monique's hands started shaking. You can't do that. The will is very specific. The children's welfare comes first. I'm their welfare. You're their biological mother. But according to the will, you're not fit to raise heirs to this fortune. Taejun stepped forward. On what grounds? Cultural incompetence. Inability to provide proper traditional education. And, the lawyer paused. Refusal to conform to family values. The room spun. Monique sat down heavily. They weren't just trying to control her. They were trying to replace her. Sign here, the lawyer said, pointing to signature lines. And your children will be provided for. The best of everything. Sign here, and you give up all maternal rights. Sign here, and you can visit them. Twice a year. Monique stared at the papers. At the pen in her trembling hand. At the signature line that would make her a stranger to her own children. This was it. The final test. The ultimate choice. Her children's financial future. Or their souls. She lifted the pen. Brought it close to the paper. And then, baby Claudette reached up. Tiny fingers wrapped around the pen. Knocked it from her mother's hand. It clattered to the floor. Rolling away from the papers. Away from the signatures. Away from the surrender. Monique looked down at her daughter. Those big brown eyes staring up at her. Trusting her. Needing her. Loving her. No. She stood up. I said no. Mrs. Shin. You can keep your money. You can keep your traditions. You can keep your compound. She picked up both babies. But you can't keep my children. You're making a terrible mistake. The only mistake would be signing those papers. She turned to Taejun. Are you with me? He didn't hesitate. I'm with you. Then let's go home. They packed quickly. While lawyers argued. While family members shouted. While Mrs. Kim insisted this was highly irregular. Claudette helped them load the car. Singing gospel songs the whole time. Loud enough for everyone to hear. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. The twins clapped along. Even though they didn't understand the words. They understood the JY. You can't leave, Uncle Hyunsu said. Watch us, Monique replied. Those children belong here. Those children belong with their parents. The money. We'll be waiting for someone else to sell their soul for it. They buckled the babies into their car seats. Regular car seats. Not gold-plated ones. Not designer ones. Just safe, functional car seats that would protect them. This isn't over, Mrs. Kim called from the steps. Yes, Monique said. It is. They drove away. All of them. Together. Leaving $800 million behind. And feeling richer than they'd ever felt in their lives. They were halfway home when Taejun's phone rang. His business partner. Taejun? Where are you? We got it. Got what? The contract. The biggest deal in company history. Taejun pulled over. What? $100 million. Over 5 years. We did it. Monique stared at him. 100 million? Over 5 years. When did this happen? They called an hour ago. Right after you left the compound. Claudette started laughing from the back seat. Y'all hear that? God, don't play. What do you mean, Mama? Baby girl, you walk away from dirty money, and the Lord sends you clean money. She threw her hands up. Divine timing. Divine provision. The twins started giggling. Like they understood. Like they knew. Their parents had chosen love over money. And love had chosen them back. That evening, they were back in their own house. Modest. Simple. Theirs. Claudette cooked jambalaya. Taejun played with the twins on the living room floor. Monique sat on the couch. Watching her family. Her whole family. Together. Happy. Free. You know what? She said to no one in particular. What's that, baby girl? We're rich. How you figure? Monique looked around. At her husband teaching baby Etienne Korean words. At her daughter clapping to gospel music. At her mama singing in the kitchen. At the life they'd built together. Because we have everything that matters. Claudette smiled. Now you're talking sense. That night, after the twins were asleep, Monique called her mama. Thank you. For what? For coming. For fighting. For reminding me who I am. Baby girl, you didn't need reminding. You needed support. Same thing. No. You knew what to do. You just needed someone to stand with you while you did it. Monique was quiet. Mama? Yes. Do you think I made the right choice? I think you made the only choice. The choice that lets you sleep at night. The choice that lets your children grow up knowing who they are. $800 million, Mama. Would have cost you everything that matters. And now? Now your children will grow up rich in love, rich in family, rich in identity. Monique smiled. That's better than money. Much better. Hashtag the epilogue. 6 months later, the phone rang. A lawyer. Mrs. Shin? This is about your late mother-in-law's estate. Monique's heart sank. What now? The cousins who inherited, they've squandered most of it. Poor investments. Bad decisions. I'm sorry to hear that. There's about 50 million left. They're willing to offer it to your children. No conditions. Monique was quiet. Mrs. Shin. I'll think about it. She hung up. Told Taejun. What do you want to do? She looked out the window. Watched Claudette pushing the twins in their stroller. Teaching them to wave at neighbors. To say hello in 3 languages. To clap when the bird sang. I want to let them grow up. And when they're 18, they can decide for themselves what kind of rich they want to be. And until then? Until then, we give them what money can't buy. Which is love, identity, faith, the knowledge that they are more than their bank account. Taejun smiled. I love you. I love you too. No regrets. About $800 million? No regrets. About fighting? About fighting for our family? Never. She took his hand. We won, you know. How do you figure? Our children will grow up knowing their names. Both sets of names. They'll speak multiple languages. They'll know their history. All of it. Korean and American. And most importantly, they'll know they're loved. Unconditionally. By parents who chose each other. By grandmothers who pray for them. By a family that knows the difference between price and value. That Sunday, they went to church. All of them together. The twins babbled through the service. In Korean and English and baby language. During prayer time, Claudette stood up. I want to testify. The congregation listened. My daughter faced a choice. Between money and family. Between security and freedom. She chose family. She chose freedom. And God honored that choice. Some of y'all might think she was crazy, walking away from all that money. But let me tell you something. Claudette looked at the twins. At Monique and Taejun. At the family that had survived 18 years of warfare. Rich ain't about what's in your bank account. Rich is about what's in your heart. Rich is about knowing who you are. Rich is about choosing love over fear. Rich is about family that stands together. And by that measure, she smiled. We are blessed beyond measure. The congregation said, Amen. The twins clapped. Because they didn't understand the words. But they understood the love. And love. Love was their inheritance. Love was their legacy. Love was their treasure. And no amount of money, not 800 million, not 8 billion, could ever buy what they already had. If you made it this far, thank you for staying until the end. This story is about choices, about the difference between price and value. And if you know someone facing impossible choices, someone being pressured to compromise their values for money, share this with them. Because sometimes, the richest thing you can do is walk away. And remember, you are worth more than you know.